weekend racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last thoughts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 339. Mr. Somich.
Huzzah!
I am so excited. We're going back down the hill at Santa Anita. Last time we were supposed to do this, they changed their mind. So hopefully they'll do that to us again. How you doing today, buddy?
I am excited, man. This is a great sequence. We got a mandatory pick six payout that is supposed to be happening here on Saturday, which, that means maybe someone's going to pop this thing on Friday, just like Gulfstream Park, but I'm excited for that. Talked about the race before this on the Racing Dudes YouTube. That's a tough race. This sequence is crazy, man. I am excited because this is a tough sequence, big fields. I think there's a couple skeptical favorites here that we could try and beat. So looking forward to the last four here from Santa Anita on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day. You know how to, push my buttons. You texted me this morning and said, let's do Santa Anita. And I said, okay. I mean, yes, you didn't have to ask. Yes, we'll do Santa Anita today. But yeah, the two turf races were both, I thought, incredibly hard to handicap. The dirt races I thought were a little easier, but you and I are both going for the same big price horse in one of those races, so I'm really excited to talk about it. We've got a lot to get into there, just so that you know. So to clarify, like Mike said, there is a mandatory payout of the pick six at Santa Anita on Saturday. It's a 20-cent denomination. It starts with race 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's what it is. Yeah, something like that.
No, it starts with race 5. There's 10 races.
Thank you. It starts with race 5, and then race 6 is the Turf Classic. It's almost all Calbred races, which is going to be really interesting for handicapping. So yeah, like Mike said, we talked about that. It'll be up on the Racing Dudes YouTube channel shortly, and at RacingDudes.com previewing it. But before we get into all the fun action, Mike, what's the best thing you saw this week?
It's going to be the best thing I'm going to see this weekend. I'm excited. The Surf and Turf is coming up this weekend. The first event. Well, it's not Surf and Turf. It's Flo-Cal. So it's a $1,500 buy-in over at Horse Tourneys. It's every single race at Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park on Friday and Saturday. If you still want to get involved, there's plenty of time. Horsetourneys.com. You can qualify for as little as $28. It was supposed to be $150K guaranteed prize pool. There is already over $250,000. My guess is we're going to get close to $600,000 into the prize pool. So you're looking like $250,000 to the winner. I have 2 entries, which is the max. I'm pretty excited about that. Dr. Tang's in there. I got Hoffman's in there. So I'm pumped up to take a swing at this, man. It's nice to have a big time tourney 2 weeks before NHC.
Yeah, and so when I texted you, we were trying to figure out who was going to preview which races over at the YouTube channel. And I was like, I'm going to give you Gulfstream and Santa Anita because I know you're already dialed in and locked in. And we talked about it a little bit on the show before, but it is a 2-day event, and it's every race at both Gulfstream and Santa Anita. I mean, that is a slog. That is you really, really got to narrow in.
It is. It's one of my favorite setups, though. I mean, so you have these different tournaments where, it's all the whole card on one day, or it's optional over a full day across 6 different racetracks. You're kind of picking and choosing what races you want to play. I love this. 2 cards, 2 days. So it's like 45 races. But the beauty of it is really understanding when to take a shot at a price. In this type of format, 2-to-1 is valuable if that 2-to-1 wins, because it's going to be the best horse and you'll gain movement on the field. So because of the limited sample size and the forced pick of every race, it kind of changes the structure of how you play a little bit. And it's one of those that I really like. I ran 7th in this 2 years ago. So I'm excited to kind of get this one going again. I like this format, and I'm feeling good right now.
I'm excited for you. It's a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time after Monday's show off air talking about it. So I'm excited. Like you mentioned, it's not just you, but a lot of our friends, including Dr. Tang, will be going. And who else did you say? I'm sorry.
The Hoffmans are in there.
Yeah, Tyler Hoffman will be there.
Yeah, I want to say there's probably about 10 different Magic Mike listeners that are all playing it already. So not sure how many more will buy in.
How am I doing here?
I don't know, man. Why have you tried? You got to get in there. Get over on horsetourneys.com. Come on, Magic.
You know what? They picked a bad weekend for it. My parents are going to be in town.
That means they picked a good weekend for it. Because your parents are going to be in town.
They don't. My mom, I'm her only child. My mom doesn't give 2 shits about me anymore, which is as it should be. But I will tell you, that first time it happened, it was a little interesting. I was just kind of used to talking to her and having her attention, and then it not being there, I was like, oh, this is new. Okay.
No, see, it's funny when you're a parent and you have a dog and you have a kid, the dog gets demoted. right? When you are a kid and you have a kid, you get demoted because the grandparent role becomes much more important than the parent role. Shout out to Pedlo, man. Yeah, I had Bama first half.
Yes, you did.
They absolutely, I said that one. They absolutely crushed after that first, or they absolutely crushed the first half almost all year. I think they ended up losing 2 games in their 2 first halves all year. And I just took the money line that first half, and it was pretty sweet.
And one of the ones that they did, one of the 2 was the Cincy game, and it was just it's just so bizarre when that happened. I know because that was one of the times I bet, not the only time, because you turned me on, and all the Magic Mike Show listeners, he turned us on to that before I see Cindy saying that her husband got in. Cindy's having just a really wonderful college football season. You know, that North Dakota State fan, they win the 1AA championship again. Yeah, good for them. Best thing that I saw, I'm going to try and see how we can do this.
See this hockey thing queued up down here.
Yeah, you do. I'm trying to figure out how we can even – hey, there we go. We'll just pull that down and pull this down. This is Cal McCarr's goal. Did you see this in overtime? I'm late to the party. This is from January 4th.
He's pretty special, man.
9 days ago.
Great puck movement, amazing handles. He's one of those that just he gets kind of shoved to the back in Colorado because of who else is there, because you have McKinnon and because you have Rantanen and players like that on the offensive side. But he is amazing on the blue line there.
Yeah, he's great. Well, Darren Helm now on the Colorado Avalanche. Still don't like to talk about that. Cindy says she's looking forward to Oaklawn Park this weekend and Homeward Bound Monday. I don't know if you're actually going to be there or not, but if you're looking to play Oaklawn, Dudes Who Bet Sports at the end of it, Aaron Halterman and Papa Dude talked about it, but also on Blinkers Off tonight, they're going to be covering a little bit more in depth. And I told Jared, Aaron's cheating. He's already, because he told me, yeah, Aaron said he's handicapping for it right now. I was like, no, he isn't. He already gave out his pick for this morning, so he's cheating a little bit on that one, but yeah, so that's good. Cindy's going to be there at Oaklawn. That's awesome. Wow, everybody gets to go to Oaklawn but me. Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Let's get into the show, Mike. We're going to Santa Anita Park, late pick 4, Saturday, January 15th. Riders up. All right, Mike, kicking off the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park on Saturday, January 15th. Race 7 is a 6-furlong dirt sprint for 8 Cal-bred older males, non-winners of one other than. Favoritism is on the number 4 Gates of Heaven here at 3-1, but if you notice, 3 other horses are either 7-2 or they're 4-1. It's a very close number of odds here. Where are you going on top?
Well, I'm going to the inside, man. Give me the one admirably. Look, this horse ran absolutely off the screen last time. It was claimed off Red Feather, out of the Mark Lapp barn, going into the Papadromo barn. He's 3 for 8 at the meet. That's awfully good. Horse is coming with the best last out buyer. One of my big things about this race, though, is that there's quite a bit of speed in here, and some of it's, I think, pretty cheap, and some of it has never held anywhere except Los Alamitos. I could poke a lot of holes in quite a few of the horses toward the outside here because of where they have won and where they put numbers up. It makes me really want to narrow this race down toward the inside, and because of that, I'm going to start with Admirably on the Rail as my top pick at 4-1, and actually pretty excited about it.
I didn't use this horse because I don't know that I love Herrera picking up the mountain. If you don't know who Diego Herrera is, by the way, really cool. The guy routinely rides during the day at Santa Anita and then goes to Los Al and rides the quarter horse cart. So he's riding 10, 12, 14 horses a day every day. The kid he's 17. The kid's a workhorse. And you can see by his stats, he's not terrible when he's here. I feel like this is a horse that's going to need to take back a little bit. And with having Herrera on it, he's usually kind of ascend in speed. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to handle riding inside of the horses like this. I've watched him closely. He is a good jockey, but I think he's got some areas to work on. But if you're not concerned about the jockey, then yeah, all the play options are here for this horse.
He's going to trip out here. I mean, you've got 4 horses that want to go, 3 horses that want to go, and he is going to get the absolute perfect trip on the rail. I agree with you. There's a little bit of concern there from a jockey perspective, but to me, I think you have the most talented horse over this surface. I mean, when you dig back through the past performances here, the one Admirably, and you go back to the other Santa Anita races, they're all really good. Twice at 6.5 furlongs, runs third, 71 and 73 buyer, comes back, wins at 6 furlongs, when it's a 76 buyer there. Doesn't touch the actual dirt until he runs again at Del Mar, gets claimed out of a $16,000 race there, runs a 72 buyer, runs second, and then runs this big number at Del Mar here, 79 in a state bred, getting back into that state bred level on the dirt, going 6 furlongs with a pace set up. To me, 4-1 is actually a really nice price. I almost singled this horse
Oh,
And
wow.
this might be my single in the pick 6 if I want to get really, really aggressive here and be able to spread out in a couple other spots.
Wow, impressive. Yeah, you must really feel strong about the horse. A horse that we both like, the one that we agreed on, is just to his outside, and that's the number 2, Scary Fast Smile. Has not been claimed away from Mark Klatt quite yet, although the horse is in for $20K here. But I like this horse a lot. This is one of the ones that's going to be definite speed. But if you look at his past performances, go back to May 29th last year, at this level, at this course and distance, the only difference was he wasn't in for a 20K tag. He runs off the screen by 8 lengths. Sorry. After that, it kind of goes sideways for him. He tries a mile for the first time. It fails miserably, and the horse has completely fallen apart since then. So that's why you see now we're back in for this 20K tag. But, yeah, this is the first time Glatt, since they claimed him, by the way, out of his debut, which is an interesting handicapping angle. He's never run for a tag since. So now we're back in for this. It's a great spot here. Did I miss any of the reasons you liked him?
I think you missed the main reason. I mean, I 100% agree with you. Love that he ran off the screen on that May 29th effort. And you said it kind of fell off the rails. Well, it fell off the rails because he went to a $100,000 state bred stakes race. And then he faced open company 3 times. He's getting back to state bred company today for the first time since that romp at this level. I think that is really the key, is that he is facing just a much softer group here. Those $50,000 allowances tend to be pretty good, especially the Los-Al, which is ironic because it's really the only one running there. He was favored in both of those races and didn't make the lead. I think that's really the key here. I think he should be able to make the lead from the inside bows. Bay should be able to send him. There's no speed to his rail. We just talked about admirably not being able to go. So Scary Fast Smile is your inside speed here. I think that is the key difference, that we're getting back to state breds and we're the inside speed.
And Tyler Bays, I know, works him in the morning. You look at his last 2 works. He went 47-4 for 4 furlongs and backs it up with a 59 flat. So Tyler works him in the mornings. Tyler knows this horse. You look at how often Tyler's ridden him. So also, never off the board at Santa Anita, 6 starts on the dirt. So that's good. Your other horse, go ahead, talk about him. I almost
let's talk about Rookie Mistake, which is kind of what you're making here, leaving this horse off the ticket at 12-1. Look, we talked about how, we just talked about the state bred angle and how important that is. Well, let's look at Rookie Mistake's career. I mean, this horse jumps back and forth between state bred and open company stakes races for a while. Then all of 2020 basically runs in state bred races, runs well, actually wins at 6.5 furlongs at this level, the 20,000 non-winners of 1 state bred level, jumps into some stakes races. His form is kind of muddy because you've got some turf, you've got some dirt, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But you look at the last 3 races, and by the way, they're all probably good enough to be in it, if not win it here at the end. Those are all against open company. 2 of the 3 are on turf, so it's kind of like it's a little different than that. The other one is at 6 furlongs. Santa Anita runs a good 76 buyer. He was bumped hard at the break, forced wide, was chasing. The other reason I like this horse, this is the other closer in my mind that it can actually get the job done. And I think if I'm worried that there's too much pace in here, and I do think Scary Fast Smile is the class of the speed, but if I'm worried that there's too much speed in here, I'd rather have 2 closers and 1 speed horse than kind of pile on the speed horses when I think it's going to be tough for any of them to really hold.
My concern why I ultimately left Rookie Mistake off, because the 12-1 price was very enticing when it's Doug and Mario and Redham racing and it's a Calbred stakes race. I'm worried that 6 furlongs is actually too short for him for what he's going to be ultimately best at. I mean, you look at some of his races in the past. He was going 7, 6.5 at Del Mar was his last win. But I'm not going to try and talk you off it because, again, that 12-1 price is pretty solid, and he has the back for him to tell you if he can get back to that Del Mar win, that's a good spot for him.
If only his best number was going 6 furlongs over the Santa Anita track in his career.
Oh, for the Echo Eddie back in May. Yeah, 2020. Yeah, you're right. Missed it by a head. Yeah. Well, he does. I mean, he's got 1 race. I'm looking at the rest of them. But also, the Cal Cup sprint last year, he needed a break after that. So maybe he was gone for 10 months. So maybe something went wrong. Not a terrible pick here. The other horse I used, just to his outside, is the 4 Gates of Heaven. And I don't like that I'm using this horse. I also don't like that Ruben Alvarado has been hotter than fire at Santa Anita since he took over for Peter Miller. But those are the facts. He's got Flavian Pratt in the saddle. Flavian Pratt won 1A with John Velasquez as to who's the hottest rider on any given race at Santa Anita. I am using this horse specifically because of the names that are on the back of the jersey. The horse, second in his one time at Santa Anita. He's exiting an older win against Open Allowance 50K company at Los-Al, but the horse is going to get hammered. There's no value playing this. I'm just doing it because there is a long shot later that you and I both really like that I want to make sure I'm alive for.
Yeah, I mean, this is a turf horse. That was my main problem. And I see the numbers obviously fit in a way, but this is a horse that's had success at Los-Al and on turf. And to me, that's a that's a pretty big concern. I think this horse is better suited for turf, and I think that you're just kind of ending up here because another race didn't come up for it. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, that we're sliding here on dirt. I agree the trip should be pretty good, but this horse is going to need to take another step forward and prove that it can handle dirt. So you're going to need a career best effort for a horse that's probably going to be your favorite or at worst your second choice. And to me, that's just too much to ask at that price.
It's too much to ask unless it's Peter Miller's a former assistant and the number one owner listed on ownership Ultimate Racing Stable is Peter Miller. And then I just shake my head, use, and hope that the horse loses. Any other horses here that you're scared of that we didn't? Neither of us used the 8 Crash Corrigan, who's 7-2 second choice. Do you want to talk about why you didn't use him?
Well, the 8 would be the other horse that I would consider here. Okay. But then you go you parse through the past performances. 3 best races of his career, all at Los Alamitos. And that to me is an issue here. I mean, the horse is 2 for 14 lifetime and 2 for 4 at Los Al. So it tells you he is 0 for 10 everywhere else. So that was the main reason I ended up not using that horse.
Well, that Los Al win, 2 back when he got claimed out of the Miati barn. 12 lengths against 4 horses at Los Al. That tells me off the turn 4 horses literally fell over and he just walked away. Because otherwise it kind of feels like a pack animal style, right? He loves to hit the board. If you want to use an underneath horse, I think that's great. But as far as a win bet goes, especially at 7-2, not who Mike and I want to use here. We'll move on to the second leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park on Saturday, January 15th. Race 8 on the card. We're going down the hillside turf course for the, what is this one? This is the Sunshine Millions Filly and Mare Turf Sprint Stakes. Pick a longer name next time. 12 fillies and mares, Calbreds 4 and up, plus an also eligible who I really hope draws into the race here, by the way. Favorite is number 9, Warren Showtime. She's 6 for 12. Santa Anita on the grass. Never off the board. She's kind of okay, but she also has to face the defending champion who beat her in this race last year. That's the 12 Legs Galore, who is pure speed on turf, 3-1, post 12. Where are you going on top?
I will not be using Warren Showtime here. I think the price is too short against a field that I think is highly competitive. She's Devoted, who is the horse that you're talking about that's also eligible, will make my ticket if she makes the draw. So we'll see what goes on there. She's a slam dunk horse that was homebred that we've talked about quite a bit on this show and off the show. She looked wildly amazing. She looked amazing first start, came back, wins second start, looked exceptional second start as well. Long off the layout. I know Slam Dunk thought really highly of this horse. And she ran well last time, couldn't get the Greg's Diva. I think she's going to be absolutely loaded in this spot. I love the fact that they have her into a stakes race here. So I think she's going to run big. I did put Legs Galore on top. I don't see a ton of speed in here, which is kind of surprising for a 6 furlong turf sprint down the hill for Calbreds. You'd expect to see 5-6 horses that are all going to want to line up. And to me, Legs Galore is clearly your speed of the speed. And the last thing I want to do in one of these spots is leave the speed off. So I put the 12 Legs Galore on top. My other must use was the 4 horse Nardini. Really surprised this horse is 12-1. I'm not really sure why this horse is 12-1. Ran well earlier this year, January, March, and April. Missed to Legs Galore by a couple lengths, going 6 furlongs over this course, but closing in on her. Goes 6 furlongs again, loses to her again. So I get why we're a little concerned about facing the same horse. But fast forward to later this year, huge effort in the Solana Beach going a mile. I like the fact that we're going 6.5 here, not 6. So hopefully that gives us a little more time to close. Going to draw a line through the last one because it was on synthetic. I think that Nardini at 12-1 is kind of a steal here for a horse that's going to sit close to the pace and could easily fly on by if Legs Galore doesn't have it in the lane.
I wanted so badly to single in the next leg. And then try and go all in this. I thought this was the hardest race to handicap, and part of it I'll blame on because they haven't had the damn downhill turf course, and sometimes I forget how to handicap the turf course, the downhill turf course, because it is a little tricky, right? They go down the hill, they kind of the dog leg right, and then the big sweeping left turn across the dirt. So things get kind of crazy. Kent DeSormo is one of the best jockeys in California on the turf right now or on dirt. And that he's got, 30, 40 years of experience going down that hill. So that is a great horse to use. You mentioned you're getting 12-1 on her. She is 0 for 4 at Santa Anita on the turf, which gives me a little bit of a pause. But she has been facing a lot of these horses. And if Legs Galore burns out, which I could see the 7 going and just being sent and just go, which is 7 is Nice Ice, which is the other Ruben Alvarado horse because he has.
We'll talk about the 7 in a minute. Don't you worry.
Oh, you used the 7, didn't you?
Yeah.
Never mind. I'll go
3 to 1,
hold
baby.
off. I'll hold off on the 7 because we're going to disagree on that one. It's interesting that you did that because I used the other the other Alvarado horse in here. But you know what? Let's talk about the real horse. Let's talk about Alice Marble because this is one that to me is the last one on for me. The only reason I used her. Why the hell is Flavien Prat riding her in this race when it feels like he could have so many different options? And this is the horse that he uses. The one time that he rode her on turf, she lost. She's actually 0 for 3 on turf. So I use because it's Pratt and it's D'Amato and it's second off the layoff, and those two guys are a hell of a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah, I mean, to me, D'Amato is actually the key here. The placement of this horse, I think, is wildly aggressive. The fact we went, some of the efforts are in open company, so I'm not going to hold those against her as much as I will the effort 2 back where she went 5 furlongs. But Miss Carousel is a very, very good horse. After Midnight runs second in that race, both of those horses come back to win next time out. So that race comes back huge. Now you have Phil D'Amato, who's 27% in turf sprints. He could arguably be the best with Peter Miller now retired. The best turf sprinting trainer in Southern California. So I love the fact that D'Amato gets Pratt to ride this horse and wants to continue this horse turf sprinting. I think the extra distance is going to be good for this horse, going from 5 to 6.5. I think that's going to be beneficial. And I also think that we've talked about how there's not a massive amount of speed here. I think that Alice Marble sits a pretty good trip. I think this is one of those sneaky fast horses that's going to sit in that second flight behind either a lone leader in Legs Galore or Nice Ice and Legs Galore pushing each other up front. Alice Marble may just trip out, and you've got Flavien Prat who's going to be able to work that trip out as good as anybody else. 8 to 1's a good price on it. Again, if you're able to fade Warren Showtime, you're pretty much getting a good price on everyone else in my mind. That's kind of why I'm going 5 deep and not using the favorite.
She also, by the way, looking at this, she 0 for 2 hitting the board at Golden Gate, and then they send her south, which is unarguably much harder circuit, and then she's a half length away from being 4-0. So listen, she's a late bloomer, right? She's turning 5, she's blossoming at the right time. I used the 2 California Kook just to her outside. This is the other Alvarado horse, actually the shorter priced of the 2, stablemate of the 7, who Mike's going to talk about in just a second. I love this horse. I think that she's turf. First of all, I think it's her best surface, but she is in form. She had that off-turf allowance win last out, so it tells me she's doing well. John Velasquez rode. Velasquez takes the mount back. That was less than a month ago, so Alvarado's running her right back. Clearly not worse for the wear. Was one underhand urging you can see there. So I went ahead and used because both of those guys, just like I mentioned last race with the 4 horse that Pratt and Alvarado are on fire, Velasquez is also on fire, so I'm going to stick with him.
He's pretty good. Distance concerns here for me. I think this just may be too short for California Kook. Tried 6 furlongs once in Santa Anita, and it seemed like them going faster just took the kick away from her toward the end of the race. And I'm concerned that you're going to see the same thing here, especially since they're probably going to go a little faster than they did that day. They went 23:46. You're not getting 23:46 today. If she wants to be close to the pace, she's going to have to go 22 and change, 45 and change. And if she does that, I'm not so sure that kick is going to be there. Again, you mentioned Velasquez has been absolutely on fire. Barnes been on fire as well. So I'm not going to knock you for the connections fact of it. And 8 to 1's a decent price. I just think this horse wants to go longer.
Talk to me about the 7 Nice Ice, because I thought that this horse was entered to mostly make sure that Legs Galore, they both have triple-digit time form early pace figures. I thought this horse was entered just to make sure that Legs Galore didn't get an easy lead, and it set up well for the 2. But you actually are using the 7 and not the 2, so tell me about it.
Yeah, I kind of like this horse going down the hill. And this is one of the few horses in this field that's actually done it before. Did it twice in 2019 and didn't make the lead either time. I don't think Nice Ice makes the lead. I think Nice Ice has mile speed to make the lead. I think Nice Ice makes the lead at a mile and a 16th, maybe even like the 7.5 at Gulfstream. I think 5.5 or 6.5 Nice Ice doesn't make the lead down the hill, but I think Nice Ice does sit right behind Legs Galore. I think Nice Ice gets first run. I think Nice Ice is 30 to 1, which is freaking wild to me when you're going to have a horse that has more stamina than a lot of these because this Nice Ice is going longer. One of the things I love is speed cutting back, especially on the turf course when it's not a massive cutback. I like the mile to 6 furlong cutback when you've shown a ton of speed because you're going to have some of these horses that have just a little bit more stamina than everybody else. I think Nice Ice is sitting in that spot. And at 30 to 1, I just couldn't say no. I mean, you're getting with Spoli with one of the hottest barns with a horse that has tactical speed in a race without a bunch of speed at 30 to 1. That enough should be a reason to put her on the ticket.
I will say, to your point, that because this is Miller's assistant, it's basically still Miller running the show. this horse is not 30-1 if the name is Peter Miller as the
No.
trainer. So,
No.
Mike, definitely you're going to get a lot of value here. This horse is so old that Frederick Ceballos rode this horse still a bug boy. That's how damn old this horse is. My God, I'm looking at the old and past performances. I'm like, God, Rajiv Marag, remember when he raced out here for about 3 months? Yeah, that didn't last long. It didn't last long. He thought he'd find himself a Derby horse. Didn't work out too well. Let's see. I've got 2 other horses to talk about. I did use Warren Showtime because I think that she's got an absolutely solid kick. I think that she's in form. This is shorter than what she probably wants to do, and she did, as I mentioned, lose this race in the past. But she also did win going down this setup in the California Distaff Handicap back in October, which was her first start off the layoff. And then she tries 2 dirt spots, which she can handle dirt. She's won on dirt. 7 for 17 on turf. She's 6 for 12 on Santa Anita's turf. I love her in this spot. And yes, I also use Setamar. That's the other horse that I used who almost beat her. In the California Distaff Handicap. So I use the 9 and the 10 in this spot. I bunch them together like that so you can rip me apart 2 for 1 special. Go for it.
Well, I just don't think that was a very good field. I mean, that's my main issue, right? Anna Fantastic runs 3rd in that field. Bella Vita runs 4th in that field. Neither of them very good turf sprinters. Not horses I'm exactly worried about. So I'm not sure what they beat there. And the waters are a lot deeper than that 6-horse field here. I mean, this is a field of 12 with formidable opponents up and down the line versus a field of 6 where they were clearly the best 2 horses.
As far as Setamar goes, she's 6-1 on the morning line, and she almost held off Warren Showtime. That was a race, by the way, a much smaller field. I think 6 horses were in that race. Her running style is to stalk and have some pace to sit behind. She didn't get that set up that day. She was forced to sit a little closer, forced to move earlier than she probably wanted. I also like that she almost won a Grade 3 turf route mile race against Open Company over this course. So she's got talent. Slightly concerned about the layoff, but I've always been a big fan of Setamar here, so I'm going to use her in this spot. Again, if the 13 She's Devoted gets in, that's a must-use for me. She's Devoted. I love her so much that she's a must-use if she scratches into the field.
Yeah, I would use the 10 over the 9 if it came to that. I think Setamar at the price is a better use than the 9 horse, especially considering the fact that, like you said, Setamar did things opposite of what necessarily Setamar wants to do last time out, and that's one of the reasons I think Warren Showtime beat her. I'm going to go with the outside of Setamar, though. Give me the 11, Eddie's New Dream. Oh, look, this horse has run 3 times on turf. Won twice, 3 career best buyers. The time that the horse did not win was going a mile in a Grade 3, okay? Spanish Love Affair was in that race. Like, it was Open Company Grade 3, not, obviously Open Company Grade 3. So, give me 15-1 on the Square Eddie horse from Redham Racing, with Mario Gutierrez up, who is 2 for 3 on the turf and clearly a better turf horse than dirt horse. I don't understand how that horse is 15-1.
Maybe I'm guessing. I'm not being snide because the 3 turf efforts were all routing, and we're cutting back here. But Ben Cecil liked her enough to put her straight in the La Brea after those turf efforts.
You know what Square Eddie's really good at?
Turf sprinting.
Correct, sir. So I'm not too worried about the routing part of it.
No. I'm just telling you that's why the price is 15-1 because someone's going to look at this and say that. I have a trip note here from when she won that mile and 1/8 race. She was sitting there with the pace setter, faded to 4th 5 lengths back. So sometimes we talk about races. It's like, okay, if 2 horses contest the pace, one wins. Where's the other one? If it's way back in the parking lot, that was a better effort by the winner than what it looks like on paper, right?
100% agree.
Let's move on to the penultimate leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park on Saturday, January 15th. I promise this one will be a much quicker one because Mike and I both agree on 2 horses in this race. There's 8 older Calbred boys. Favoritism is on number 3, Brickyard Ride at 9-5. If Legs Galore is speed on turf, this horse is speed on dirt. If he runs his best race, they're all fighting for second. So we both used him. I don't know that we need to talk much about him. Let's talk about the long shot, number 6. Let's Get Lucky at 12-1, who we both also like here. I'll let you take things over.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is one of those horses just improving. When you look at the races that this horse has run, you've seen consistently uptick in every single effort. I like the fact that we were able to get a win here over the Santa Anita Dirt, going 6 furlongs, 2 back, first off a layoff against State Bred Company. And in that race was Principal Carlo right to the outside, who is 6-1 for some reason, probably because off that race running second to Let's Get Lucky, came back to win a $100,000 State Bred Stakes race. So I'd say that Let's Get Lucky race came back pretty good. Principale Carlo jumps from a 79 buyer up to a 92 in winning. Well, Let's Get Lucky goes from an 87 buyer in that win up to a 94 buyer against Open Company, just missing, ending up in 3rd. And by the way, didn't even get a good trip in that race. So again, this is a race we have a lot of speed signed on. Let's Get Lucky is going to sit behind that speed. Brickyard Ride is going to be on the speed. If I'm going too deep here, I'm going to use Brickyard Ride because I think that's the classiest horse, clearly probably the best horse in the field. 9-5 is a fair price. We're probably not getting 9-5. We're probably getting more like 6-5 or 7-5 in this spot. Yeah. Let's Get Lucky is a horse that I think could definitely make some noise. Should be sitting in that first group. I almost went 3 deep here. Well, actually, first off, did I miss anything on Let's Get Lucky or any other reason why you're using them here?
Just one smart-ass comment. The horse that was a length behind him in fifth, because fourth, there was a small gap there, but the horse that was a length behind him in fifth got claimed off of Peter Miller by Tim Yakteen, who's not a very high percentage barn, especially not off the claim. And that horse won next out. Like, that's the level of competition that this horse was finishing ahead of, is that a horse was with Miller, got claimed off of to a non-juicing barn, and still won next out. I mean, that's just pretty damn impressive to me.
That's not so bad. Took Charge, the winner of that race, came back and just missed at the $80,000 N2X level. It was missed by less than a length. So the winner of that race came back to run very well as well. So every single horse in that race seems to be running well out of it. And that's off, the big time improvement we saw from Let's Get Lucky. I mentioned the speed in here. Look, Positivity, the 4 horse is going to want to go. Brickyard Ride, the 3 horse is going to want to go. The 2 horse Peaceful Teacher, probably going to go, or Stalk. You're going to see speed from Principal Carlo, who's going to be close to the pace, the 113 early time for him. Your speed from the 8, Colt Fiction, who's 3-1 on the line. All of this sets up for, if you want to go one more deep, is to get a little crazy and try the 1 horse. And that would be the other horse I would take a look at, who I think could pick it up if they absolutely collapse. Because I went 5 deep in the last leg, I only ended up 2 deep here. I was trying to find a way to go 3 deep here and use the 1, 3, and 6. Couldn't do it. But in my pick 6 tickets, I probably will have the 1 included.
I was like, he's either going to say the 1 or the 5, and I couldn't figure it out. 1 is a good one if you're going to get a little nuts, especially with the late pace angle. How about, can we just talk real quick about the 5? This is John Sadler claims a 6-year-old intact Calbred who, form-wise, you're not going to really do anything with this horse as a stallion. Claims him for $80,000 and runs him straight back into a stakes race, and he's 10-1, so you're going to get value on him. I didn't use, but are you concerned about that at all?
No. I mean, to me, this is an underneath horse. I think it's interesting that he got claimed out of an $80,000 N2X, even though he's won 8 times in his career. Some of the conditions he had, he's getting to repeat now if he's up for a tag. And so I think that there's some other big races that you can kind of get claimed for. We covered the 6th race in this sequence for racingdudes.com on the YouTube page. And my top pick was actually a horse that just got claimed for $100,000 and went right into a Calbred Stakes for Papadromo stable. Before that, he was claimed for $80,000 and went right into a Calbred Stakes. So I think that a lot of times some of these barns, they see these Calbred Stakes coming up and they target high-tier horses that they think they can get a paycheck with, because they can run them in the stakes and then run them back in the 80 and N2X and possibly get the horse claimed, possibly be able to win that race for a big purse. It gives you options with a horse that I think probably can't win here, probably is worthwhile playing underneath, but is a decent horse to own.
Yeah, and Ronus Racing, who's his top owner, or his top client for John Sadler, they routinely win the owner titles at Santa Anita, at Del Mar. So they probably, like you're saying, Mike, paid $80,000 to have a lot of fun and help them win another owner's title there. So interesting angle. It caught my attention. I wanted to make sure we brought that up.
In the last 2 years, this horse has earned $148,000 and $130,000. So it's not like and the horse is clearly in form and intact still. So it's not like there aren't races that you could try and get that $80,000 back in.
That's for sure. We'll move on to the final leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita on Saturday, January 15th. Race 10 sends us back onto the turf. We've got a dozen 3-year-old Calbred fillies routing a mile in the California Cup Oaks. I always think this is a longer race than it is. It's just a mile. I keep wanting to say that. Professor's Pride, the 7 horse, is your 5-2 favorite in here. You also have Big Novel, the 1 horse at 4-1, Vivacious Vanessa at 4-1. I just named 3 of the horses that I'm using, and Mike is using a 4th one with me as well.
Well, I love me some Vivacious Vanessa here. I almost singled the 3 horse. This was the second closest I came to singling after the 1 horse in the first leg, and I'll probably press a ticket with the 1 singled in the first leg and the 3 singled here in the last leg. To me, this is a lot about breeding. Look, this is a Not This Time horse, which is a son of Giants Causeway. Giants Causeway, very good turf sire, out of a Mizzen Mass dam. Mizzen Mass, one of the best turf sires. So this is turf on turf every bit. Horse debuts on turf, is able to absolutely gobble up ground. If you go back and watch that race, it's incredible. The horse hopped at the start. He got in trouble around the turn. Somehow just surges up and still is able to get the win, runs a 60 buyer, looked amazing doing it. They move over to a stakes race for $176,000 on the dirt. Horse doesn't run great, but still runs third. It's not a bad effort at all. And now you're getting this horse back to turf. I'm excited about seeing Vivacious Vanessa get back to the surface that she loves the most. And you're going to have pace to chase here. Although we have no idea how fast she is early because she completely missed the break and hop at the start anyway.
Very true. Here's the thing about Vivacious Vanessa. She's for Gary Mendella's, Richard Mendella's son. Gary mostly, he's Richard's assistant, and he kind of helps run that stable. But he has his own horses he can play with from time to time. This horse, 15-1 morning line. What did the horse go off at, Mike?
3-1.
Yeah. For a very low percentage barn, very low percentage with debuters. They knew this horse was good. They knew this. The word got out. This horse was a beast. I love this horse. This is my top pick as well.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a monster effort here. I'm interested at the price because this is one of those where I'm willing to put a win bet in here at 3-1, and 4-1 is currently sitting on the morning line. I think I'm going to get better than 3-1. I don't think this horse is going to take that much action. Although I did not realize it was 15-1 on the morning line in its first start. That kind of scares me a little bit because that replay is just. It's so impressive when you go back and watch it.
Oh, yeah, split it. I mean, it's just a very, very professional-looking effort. You never see that from a 2-year-old in its debut unless it's going to go off to be a monster. Who do you want to talk about next? Because you went 3 deep, and I went with all 3 of them, so I'll let you drive the bus.
Oh, let's talk about Big Novel on the inside. I guess that's the next one that we should talk about. This is going to be first time touching turf, which I think is interesting. Mr. Big, decent sire here on turf. Your Heat Seeker mare, which is an Irish horse, should be good for the turf as well. Sadler, first time turf, 24% with a $4.91 ROI. You get John Velasquez, you get the inside post, and you get what should be a very, very, very good trip because of that. So I love the fact that we're going to sit a nice trip here. We've got tactical speed in the race that has some speed, but not an overabundance of it. And I think that turf is probably the better surface here. I think in some of these early Calbred races, if you look at the 2-year-old Calbred races, a lot of the big money races are all dirt. And that's why you see a lot of these horses try dirt first and then flip over to the turf. We're starting to get some more of the big money Calbred turf races. And I think that's when you're going to see some of these horses run their best and run on their best surface. And I think Big Novel falls into that latter category.
She also has an older brother who didn't break his maiden on turf, but led every step of the way until like about the shadow of the wire and then just got swallowed up, but was very impressive going a mile on the turf at Santa Anita. So I'm with you. I like Big Novel here. Who did we forget? The 11. Let's go almost all the way outside. Boy, Rose Dawson. If you didn't watch this debut at Los Al, good hell. Holy cow. I don't give 2 shits about that 60 buyer.
Yeah.
That is a plus effort. Oh my God, this was good.
Yeah, horse looked like a monster. Another horse, but to me, this one, I was surprised the horse didn't get more bet. Went off at 5-1 in that debut effort, but the horse looked absolutely amazing. This is a homebred. It's a grazing horse, often very good on turf. We've got a 376 Tomlinson turf number. I think this horse could be very good and has tactical speed. Was close to a 22-1 pace in that first start. So I know it says 6, but it was only 2 lengths back. So it essentially ran a 22-3 over that first quarter. So should be a little forwardly placed, be able to get a nice trip here. I like the fact that Pratt takes the call. And like you said, I mean, that was one of the more breathtaking debuts we saw at Los Alamitos, where we often see some pretty good debuts. So I think it's interesting that we're seeing this Di send this horse directly into a stakes race and get Pratt aboard.
It's the house that Bob Baffert keeps the lights on that, and for a non-Bob Baffert to have a debut like that's impressive. Also, Rose Dawson, a half-brother to Clayton Delaney, who's a talented turf sprinter. Not a stakes caliber horse, but it definitely has a lot of ability on turf. I love Rose Dawson's spot. The 11 post, I'm not worried. If she's got the talent that she showed, if she actually can live up to what she showed in that debut, incredible. So we hit all 3 that you have, right? You didn't use the 7, Professor?
No.
Sky?
And this is the horse I left out because it was my 4th pick, and I'm not in the. I think this is gonna be your favorite, and I have no interest in using a favorite that I'm lukewarm about. Yeah,
this is the horse that was probably the last one on the ticket for me, but kind of similar to what we talked about with the Mandela horse on the rail. Eddie Truman, not a huge debut horse trainer. This horse wins on debut, but the morning line was 6-1, and the horse went off at 8-5. There were strong works. There were plenty of bullets on the page back then. It had a very nice, it was sitting wide. You're going to get kind of a wider trip here from this 7 post a little bit. It is interesting that Hernandez doesn't ride, though. We're going to get a jockey switch here to Umberto Rispoli for the turf debut, because we've got Hernandez staying on Vivacious Vanessa, who was our top pick here. So along those lines, I can kind of see, especially 5-2, why you didn't use the horse.
Yeah, this is probably going to end up being your speed, or you would think is going to be your speed, which is my biggest concern about Professor's Pride. I'm just not so sure that again, it is a horse that is bred for the turf, or bred to handle the turf with Bayern and a twirling candy mare. So it's not like the turf should be a downgrade here, but I think it's more of a neutral move compared to some others who I think are taking steps forward. And I'm interested to see how this plays out. I'm not positive we're going to get a lead. I don't love the 5-2 price. Not interested in the barn as much as others. I think there's a lot of horses in here that have a ton of talent. You kind of combine all of that, and I'm not willing to swallow the price in a ticket where I'm using, Brickyard Ride. And they're like those type of horses where it's, look, if that horse wins and this horse wins, it's not going to pay that much anyway. So I'd rather take a swing and see if I can get around him.
Brickyard Ride wins. Spoiler alert, I don't think much of this pays as much as we would hope for anyways.
Be interesting. That's going to be the key to the pick 6 for a lot of people. And so it's going to be awfully interesting if Brickyard Ride loses. It's going to be awfully interesting to see what this thing pays, because it's going to be big. Because I don't think it's going to be one of the more quote unquote logical horses that beats him. I think it's going to be someone from off the pace at a big number.
And Dr. Tang saying that 7 and 1 may go together, which kind of goes along further with your theory of why you're using the 1, because you do like the 1 big novel, but why you're against the 7. So yeah, kind of all adds up there. But no, Dr. Tang, by all means, use the 7, use the 5-2 favorite in your Flo-Cal tournament. Mike is begging you, please.
You're using them on your ticket. I wish you weren't. I wish you chucked this horse for a price somewhere else. But I
might, because it was already kind of lukewarm, and I didn't see the morning line on this race specifically until now. So yeah, that might get reworked. I have too much chalk on my ticket with that horse being there too.
I do want to give some love to the 4 horse just for the name Moneypenny. I loved the James Bond series for a long time. And I love that there's a Munnings horse named Moneypenny. So shout out for the name recognition to the 4 horse. Not going to use you, but love the name.
Shout out! I didn't use you, but
yeah,
you know what? I'm gonna change it on the fly. Let's get rid of the 7, and I'm gonna use a horse you didn't. Let's use the 8. Let's talk about Dendera. I'm getting 12-1 with. I talked about Ken DeSormo riding as well as anybody on the turf. He's gonna be riding for John Sadler, a horse that Flavian Pratt rode twice on turf and won both times. The only time this horse has lost on turf, it was the Open Company Juvenile Fillies Turf Stakes. A couple of those horses ended up going off towards the Breeders' Cup or trying to get into the Breeders' Cup. Scratch off last race. They tried dirt. Listen, it was low sal. Mike, you know that you like to say that track can play well to turf horses. Didn't play well to this turf horse. By her speed figure, she's going to need a big improvement, but I like the fact that she's got 2 wins, including over this course. And again, I'm getting Kent DeSormo at 12-1 with John Sadler. Giddy up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Pratt off tells me quite a bit about this horse, but at the price, it's not terrible. And so I would much rather use the 8 than the 7. So good on you, Magic. Good switch.
Hang on, Pratt's leaving because he saw what happened with Rose Dawson's debut and went, wait, I want to ride that thing. I want to ride that.
I mean, we're both using the Pratt horse here, so I don't disagree with you there.
That's probably exactly what happened. That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to talk about the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park. If you want more insight on the card Saturday at Santa Anita, again, the mandatory payout of the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6 pool that they have. So their possible $4 million pool for that one. So make sure you check that out. If you want help before these 4 races, the second leg of the pick, pick 6 sequence. Jesus, too many races. Race 6 is the Unusual Heat Turf Classic Stakes at youtube.com/racingdudes. This guy right here, Mike Somich, joined me to preview the race, go through it. It's 8 horses, but it's a very interesting race. And really, this pick 6 sequence that they put together, very challenging because of all the Calibreds, Mike.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I mean, you got big fields, you got multiple surfaces. You've got a lot of horses that are logical improvements. That are switching surfaces, switching trainers, switching barns. It's a fun pick 6 sequence. Now, no one go and hit this sucker on Friday. Do not do that. That was mean. I understand you wanted the $1.2 million all yourself, but it was a dick move. We would like to have a big pool on Saturday.
I told Mike I'll send him $540 on Friday if he guarantees we can take it down.
I will give you 12-1 on your money if we take it down.
We'll go ahead and give out our tickets for this one last time. Take a look below if you're watching the replay or live here on YouTube. I'll start off going 2-4 with 1, 2, 9, 10, adding the 13 for both Mike and I if she draws into that, then 3-6, then 1-3-8, 11. That's a $32 ticket. For you, Mr. Somich.
I am going to play 32-40. I like that. I'm going to play a $45 ticket. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 with 1, 4, 7, 11, 12 with 3, 6 with 1, 3, 11. It'll cost you $45 for 50 cents. And I will also include that 13. She's devoted in the second leg if she draws in. And I would drop probably the 7 or the 11 horse. I'm not sure which I would drop there. Probably the 7 for my ticket in that middle leg.
And as Mike said, if you're watching the screen, the scroll, I actually put 32-40 because if the 13 draws in and I don't lose horses, I'm just going to keep it and I'm going to add her in. It's still a little affordable. It does push Mike's a little more expensive, so I get why he's going to do that. But thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Magic Mike Show. We're going to end the horse racing talk now, other than to say good luck to everybody, as Dr. Tang said, in the Flo-Cal tournament. To you, Mike, to Dr. Tang, to the Hoffmans. I hope everybody but you gets second. May you win.
I love it. Take it down.
Take it down. Speaking of taking down, Georgia took down Alabama. That was an interesting game. Did you want to talk about it? Or are we just going to move on, pretend it didn't happen, and talk about the NFL playoffs?
I mean, I love the first half. Very happy that happened. And it was an interesting game. I was kind of surprised you saw the response. It seemed like Georgia was done after they had that interesting fumble call, which I understand why it was called the fumble. That was the most nonchalant fumble recovery I've ever seen from that Alabama DB. And, man, he is lucky his foot was in, because if they call that a fumble but his foot's out, he would have been roasted. It seemed like the game was over after they went in and scored there. But Georgia's offense was able to kind of get it going and get it trucking and get the job done. So congratulations to Georgia. We talked about how it was one of those tough spots where, Georgia was laying 7 in the SEC title game and Alabama loses its best player and is only catching 3 a few weeks later, 37 days later. That was awfully interesting. And then you had the second best Georgia receiver go down in the first half as well, which didn't help them any.
I had a small stake in the game, just betting wise, but nothing that was really nothing significant. And so when Alabama lost, even though I bet Alabama, I wasn't upset. But it was an entertaining game because for 3 quarters, pound the under. I mean, that under started at like 53.5. It got down to 33, I think, at some point. And then the fourth quarter happened, and it was just like, boop, 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 boop. So I was wondering, how many people bought that correctly, do you think?
I bet not too many. It was weird, too, in the first half. You had 5 field goals as scoring all the points. And when you have 5 field goals, you're like, well, the drive stalled. And it's like, no, they didn't stall. You had 4 big plays, which produced 5 field goals. The rest of the drives were shit. They couldn't move the ball at all. And so it was literally 1 big Georgia run, 1 big Georgia pass. That was all they did in the first half. And so you kind of watch that. And that's why I said when Bama went up, I believe it was by 8. No, they went up by 6. They went up by 5. That was when you kind of were like, this is trouble, because Georgia's going to have to drive the length of the field and put points on the board. That's something they haven't been able to do.
Over racenews.com/sports, the Dudes Who Bet Sports latest episode that aired this morning. Well, morning for me, covering the NFL playoffs. As I mentioned, Aaron Papadude also covered Oaklawn Park. But if you want more Oaklawn Park coverage for Saturday, tune into Blinkers Off. They'll be going live at just over an hour here, so 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. They're going to talk about some stakes races, but really nothing superb, nothing graded, nothing that crazy. So they are going to be focusing on Oaklawn Park and the late pick for their Saturday. So make sure you tune in for that. And then over at racingdudes.com, we, of course, have previews for all of the big races. We have the Kentucky Derby Trail coverage, Kentucky Oaks coverage. We're doing a big push for the Pegasus World Cup. I already did a bunch of videos with Aaron Halterman talking about the horses who've been invited to these races because they are invitationals. You have to be asked to come play. But we talked about who showed up for that, and then we also did horse-by-horse analysis for Life is Good and Knicks Go. So that's all over at racenews.com and then youtube.com/racingdudes. Mr. Somich, anything else that you'd like to add before we get out of here?
Bets I've made already. I have the Raiders plus 235 on the money line. I have the Raiders plus 6.5. It's 5.5 plus 195 now. I would still take the 5.5. 195 I am not as excited about, but I do like the Raiders as a live dog there. I played the Bills -4 against the Patriots. I think they're just the better team. I think that you're going to see them be more aggressive on offense if they're able to score. New England won't be able to keep up with them. I also played the 49ers plus 3.5 and then plus 3 even. That's plus 3 minus 105 now. I would still take them at plus 3. I think they're a live dog, kind of like the over in that game, over 51 as well.
Am I hearing correctly? You're going against all of the first-time or the inexperienced quarterbacks in the playoffs?
Well, Carr is a debutante as well, so it's two first-time quarterbacks there. And that one to me, I think is more. I think Crosby's going to be able to wreak absolute havoc against the Bengals offensive line. I respect the heck out of the Bengals and what they've done, except I don't respect their coaching staff at all. I think that Burrow is incredible, like generational talent that is unfortunately been dealt a hand with not a great coaching staff, and he's doing a wonderful job of hiding how poor that coaching staff actually is. And that makes it more and more difficult as you get deeper and deeper into the playoffs. I also think that, like, look, this Raiders team, it is them against the world right now. And you saw that in the Chargers game. You saw how pumped up they were. You're going to just continue to see them have this us against everybody mentality, which is one of the most dangerous things in football.
They're the football version of the St. Louis Blues from a few years ago. Season starts terribly, fire the coach, drama. Hey, wait a minute, we're in the playoffs, and having a pretty damn good end of the season.
And they have a defensive line that can get there with 4. They got an offense that can move the football. I mean, they're dangerous to be able to win. And the Bengals they're not stout defensively. They're dangerous on offense. So you got to definitely worry about that. But again, if you can get to Burrow, that's how you can stop them. And then the Raiders can do that. That's the one thing they really do well.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good luck if you're betting the NFL. Let us know. Tweet at Mike, and you can tweet at me, too. But Mike's the one who's the big better for the NFL. You can follow him on Twitter at Somobomb, 18, number 1, number 8. I am at Curtis Kalleward. Our corporate overlords at Racing_Dudes. Once again, they'll be live in just about an hour covering Oakland Park. I'm sure there'll be plenty of NFL talk, too, because Jared is a Kansas City Chiefs fan. He actually, when we recorded the previews for Tampa's races this weekend, he made me take down my Pittsburgh Steelers towel that was sitting here. So now I'm allowed, now that my boss isn't here anymore, I'm allowed to put it back up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
I like it. You should change their banner to Go Pittsburgh. Their scrolling banner that they run, sponsored by the Pittsburgh Steelers, their episode. See if they notice it or not. I'll also be on Equinedge Live on their YouTube feed tonight from 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern. We're covering Charlestown and Sam Houston live. So we'll be able to show those races live. We'll be handicapping and throwing some bets together. Hope to make some money. Again, that's 8 to 9 Eastern tonight, not the normal 9 o'clock time, because we want to catch some Sam Houston races.
There you go. Well, in Sam Houston, it's just beautiful. We'll get to Sam. We've gotten some people asking. We'll get to Sam Houston coming up, and maybe we do that next week, Mike. I think next week's a pretty slow weekend for us too. So maybe we look into Sam Houston. Find some some payout days too for us. It
is, and what's incredible, I love this. One of the reasons we haven't gone to Sam Houston in the past is because of the number or the size of the pool. Did you see the Thursday pool last week? Mm-mm. When we first pumped Sam Houston, do you remember what it was? The week before we did it, it was 62,000. And then we did it on the Magic Mike show the next week, and it was 77,000. And they were like ecstatic with the growth of the pool. We were happy. We thought it was amazing. $169,000 last Thursday.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
So it's getting to the point where we can play the Sam Houston side of it, because the pools are getting big enough that you're not killing them when you're using long shots.
Mike can actually still make a decent living playing Sam Houston is what we're saying. That's awesome. And if other tracks are listening, that's the power of the Magic Mike Show army. We got us, Mike and I, but you've also got all of our listeners, and they're very deep pockets, and they love to play. So give us some good takeout and some nice pools, and we'll come playing with both fists.
Amazing that they have doubled the handle on the Pick 6 in a year and a half, essentially. I guess that's 2 years now. In 2 years, because of that low takeout and how much love they've gotten around the Twitterverse and the Twitter horse racing world.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes, Trax. That's all you got to do. We'll be back on Monday to talk about what happened this weekend. I'm sure Mike and I will have a pick 4 for you as well, because this looks pretty boring this weekend as far as what we talk about. So we'll tune in on Monday at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this weekend. Unless you're in the Flo-Cal tournament, then everybody gets second behind Mike, please. Okay, thanks. Bye.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb, because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.